Hey, and welcome to me and Eduardo's review of the 2025 Girly Game Jam. We actually participated for the first time in our first ever Game Jam together on this particular one, and we had such a blast doing it that we kind of wanted to, love on some of the other games that participated and some of the other teams because they've really put out some incredible projects. So we're just going to kind of review a handful of the ones that we really enjoyed together. So, without further ado, Eduardo, do you want to introduce the games that we're going to be covering today?
Yeah, so we're just gonna rant a bit about games that we thought were a bit underrated, in the sense that did not receive enough ratings, but we both feel should deserve a bit more love. Obviously, there's a lot of fantastic games that were submitted for this Girly Game Jam, so I will be leaving the link in the comments so all of you can check all of them out. So we're just focusing on these games because they were not ranked as much. We picked top 10 under 20 rating games. That being said, there's a lot of fantastic submissions, and you will be able to check that out in the description. So, the first game that we thought was very, very cool was Eternal Flame 2, named famously after the Bangles song Eternal Flame. What do you
And
think
what a
about this
banger. Well, I'm not gonna for everybody's comfort and peace of mind, I am not gonna start singing Eternal Flame by the Bangles because I think that's fair to everybody. But that being said, what an unexpected reference to the Bangles, a song that came out probably like 30 to 35 years ago. Not something that I expected in to come up in the Girly Game Jam about princesses falling in love and looking for their collectively lost cat.
Yeah, I think it was a very short and sweet narrative. The narrator was hilarious, like strong Stanley Parable kind of vibes
Yeah.
of things narrating the thing, but like getting sidetracked and talking about other
Yeah.
stuff. A bit meta, but a very cute game. Very short, very sweet, very. It has a bit of like sidewalking elements, a bit of just
Mhm.
narrative elements, a bit of dress up elements, and a funny minigaming, which you just clicked fishes to unlock more attires. I thought that was very cool.
And the mini game where you get to put up posters of your missing cat, and then vice versa, you get to put up posters of, "Is this your cat? I found your cat. Come get your cat," which is fantastic.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. What did you think overall about the game?
Eh, Short and sweet, very cool, very fun. It had me cackling at times with the narrator. I
I
strongly
definitely
recommend it, like
agree.
even in its current version.
Yeah, I thought this is very much more. I know the dress up games were very popular not only in this Girly Game Jam but just in general in the Y2K era. But this was such a fun take on it, especially with just the narrator alone being like this under caffeinated on the verge of a mental breakdown or nervous breakdown. It's so good. I highly recommend it.
Average dev hours before the submission entry.
Yeah, like us.
Small plugin. Check out our game Pinhole. Will also be in the description.
Yeah, do
Mandatory
it.
plugin. But speaking of plugin in games, let's go into your second entry called Decaying Wires,
Wow, I see
which
what you
was
did there then.
a bit of a tone shift, a bit of a horror game, strongly
Yeah.
reminiscent for me from Higurashi and other visual novels that start with this cutesy like schoolgirl kind of vibe and then degenerate a bit and degenerate a lot. There's a couple like perspective changes in this game which I think were very interesting. Took me by surprise, and I think it's very self-concluded. Like for the time that we had in this jam, I think this is pretty much a complete package.
It really is a complete package, and it's kind of a marvel of the fact that it is a complete package made in 4 days. Given how much was put into the game, this was definitely like a mind fuck for sure. A mind fuck of a game that starts off just like Higurashi and just like I'm under the impression Doki Doki Literature Club, where it starts off super unassuming and then just completely messes with you in ways that you didn't expect. You're shaking your head. What are you thinking? What are your
I
thoughts?
think like the grainy camera feel and the text will already. I
Yeah.
don't think it's as unassuming. I think it's assuming, but I think it just embraces the vibe it's going for.
Yes, all of the crushed audio that sounds like it's like recorded through a potato, and like the music that's like actually kind of off.
Mhm.
All of the kind of off dialogue, it already kind of sets up that like things are not as what they seem, and stuff is about to get messed up. But I love that it's almost so like plainly in your face, unassuming on purpose, because it's like, yes, this is what these types of games do. Like it very much knew its audience, it very much knew the type of game it wanted to be, and the all of the meta elements were really fun. Really, really good game.
Very, very cool. Also, developer, if you're listening, like F you for the screensaver thing. You know what you did.
I
Uh,
felt so violated. I will never forgive you. I really enjoyed your game though.
Going on to games that we hated, love hated, I guess, slightly less. Color Mesh, which was a fun side scroller in which you can throw Pinku that adheres to black surfaces, and that will change its property and make it like attract. And you can use that and the physics of it to jump to higher places, to get along, to move platforms around. I think it was a very fun platformer.
I
I would love
think
to see
that's
this
fun.
turned into like a full-on project because I think it was very fun of an idea and it can be used in a lot of creative incorporations.
Yes. Also, really small detail that I really appreciated because I'm very much an aesthetics gal. Um, the Celeste inspired hair physics for a platformer, actually pretty cool. I really enjoyed that small detail, and I kind of feel like they spent a lot of time on it.
Yeah. I unfortunately on my first playthrough got a bit stuck, but I think it was very fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It was a good time. I liked it a lot.
Going on to the next game, ShapeShifter SweetHeart, which is another 2D side scroller in which you have the
Mm-hmm.
ability to shapeshift into four different animals, a bit of a bird, a bit of a cat, a bit of a saber-toothed wolf, I will say. Uh, Very 2D Metroidvania. If you're like a Metroidvania purist and you're looking for like hot upcoming indie games, I think this is will fit right up your alley. It's only one level, but I think like the level design of this was flawless. It was impeccable.
It's so good. It's
You
really good.
got to
Uh-huh.
perfectly explore each part of them, use their powers, very pristine. And it was very fun and like a very fun concept, which I love a lot, which is just finding the hidden things. So great pleasure for me.
Do we think that that was a saber-toothed tiger, or do we think it was a dog wielding a knife?
Interesting.
I
Uh,
seemed like a dog wielding like a puppy with a knife, like that meme where she's like, "Oh my god, do you have a knife?"
who gave Popper a knife? Okay, but
Who gave Pepper a knife? Yeah, exactly. Who gave Shapeshifter girlfriend a knife is my question. But maybe she needed it. Who knows? I'm not
I will
going to
say that
judge.
the graphic style like very simple, especially on the stage. But every NPC, like the creatures going around, like
Yes.
very responsive. Also, that's something that you really
Very,
want in a Metroidvania
yes.
game. You want it to be like as responsive as possible, and I never have an issue with
Hmm.
this game.
Yeah,
Uh,
I agree with you.
Moving on to another very different don't change this time, like a 3D exploration game called Jiggle Pit, in which we are in charge of finding out what's up with this secret girly fight club, apparently that's in the rooftop, and some other mysteries, like very, very like Yu Yu Hakusho vibes for me. I don't know if you
Hmm.
got them as well, but the dialogue was
Yeah.
very, very funny. Strongly recommend checking this out if you want just self-aware humor and short playthrough.
I agree. Did you like when I was playing through this, it felt like I was playing a game that was like highly inspired by like a YouTube abridged series. Like some of the humor is so classic early YouTube, which is really like not in a bad way at all. It's just super funny, not necessarily lowbrow because I mean there are some jokes that made me belly laugh, like the fact that this game was made in 4 days, and the game dev was like, "Hey, I didn't have time to just bone everybody and make sure that their arms stayed down." So they just put in jokes about everybody T-posing all the time
Yeah,
and
the
having
T-pose
like
culture
crazy
was real.
muscles. It's so good. I really enjoyed it, and I would love to see a whole version of this game because I thought it was really good. My one extremely small complaint is that maybe this is just a personal thing, but because the camera is linked to the mouse movement, And because it was set at a really high sensitivity, if you just kind of wiggled your mouse even in a slight way, the camera would shift a lot as you were moving. So that tends to create a little bit of motion sickness for me. But other than that, it was such a fun time, and the rooftop scene was amazing.
Yeah, honestly, we need more girly fight clubs in general, especially
Hmm.
the ones where they throw in your jewels into the ring. I think that was a very cool stuff. But
Yeah.
also, I do agree with you with a bit of like a motion sickness warning for this one. But on games
Yeah.
that will produce maybe slightly less motion sickness in a different way, Harmony, a very cute game about a girl just walking around. It's a collecting walk, I will say, with motivating messages, and it's very short, very sweet. It's always
Hmm.
encouraging you, leaving you uplifting messages, and sometimes you just need that in your life. That's why I wanted to bring this up. What do you think about this one?
I really like this one. I remember when we were playing it together to go through our initial ratings for all the games. I remember mentioning to you that like this would have been such a good like winding down game that you play like right before going to bed to kind of like lower your blood pressure because not only was the music so calm but all of the color palettes are really beautiful to look at. All of the hand drawn art is gorgeous, and a lot of like the soft music and affirmations together with like the really satisfying gameplay of matching the shadow and the light self just would be so good like right before going to bed, like tucking in.
Yeah, no, this is the perfect like stress down after losing 20 ranked
Mhm.
games in a row kind of game. I will definitely not be using that in the future. Speaking of games that I might come back to into the future, Momo Pop, a very classic, very polished 44 days that we had.
Mhm.
2D side scroller, reasonably challenging, like not too much, not too little, but very impressive work here being done.
I really like this one. Talk about a dedicated girlfriend. Momo is flying through the candy galaxy to come cheer her girlfriend up. So I listen, I'm in full support of that. Also, I think I don't know if you felt this way, but even though it was somewhat challenging, and I really stink, I'll be the first one to say this, Metroidvania games and platformers are I'm really bad at. I had such a satisfying time with the flying controls because they felt like they got it really balanced and you feel a lot of fun just from like moving in the game and flying on your broom, which was such a good time. So yeah, I loved it. Adorable level design. I thought all the characters were super cute, all the monsters. It was good. It was a really, really good time. Solid game.
Yeah, no, my only slight issue with it, I mean, personal
Hmm.
issue just because it's not my genre, is that I
Yeah.
felt like the screen got like too busy at sometimes, especially once you
Mm.
got like all the power ups and you got all the things flying at you. But I think it was very fun, especially
Yeah.
for TN3. Speaking of games that unfortunately will get a bit more polished, hopefully, my teen romantic comedy won't start, so no one else's will. Which
Yeah.
is just what it implies. If you ever get like tired of watching like all the school romances in the hallways, just make it into a double dragon style, just beat them up. It has
Yeah.
a bit of like a reputation level, so like you hitting people, not hitting on people, but literally hitting people, will change your relationship with them. It's a very interesting idea. Unfortunately, it was not quite finished. It had like a couple bugs at the moment of
Mm.
recording this. Hopefully, those will be fixed soon. But
Hmm.
just for the premise, I think it was very fun. What do you think about this one?
I definitely agree with the double dragon style, but almost as if like you're the single dragon, because it's just you by yourself beating up everybody else. And by everybody else, I mean successful couples that make your character angry because she's single, which is I extremely petty and hilarious. And I think that I'm really looking forward to when the game devs kind of go back and they kind of smooth over some of the bugs that were present upon release, and we get to find out more about the psychology of the main character, what the other people at the school who are getting beat up by her in the hallways feel about this. Like this is a such a wild game, and but I think like stylishly wild in a very, very funny way. This is a great game.
Yeah, I also really like the journal presentation at the start.
Yeah, the journal's good. Yeah, I agree.
Unfortunately, the first one in this list that I don't recommend right now, but if gets fixed, check in the description if it got fixed or not.
Yeah.
Absolute yes. for
Like a
sure.
tentative, yeah, tentative recommendation.
Yes, but things are that you can play right now. Instant recommendation: Bake Me Blush, which is a
Yeah.
visual novel about these rival bakers. One of them like bakes sweets, the other is just a bread baker, just like their things like straight, simple, to the point, no sugar. And they have a bit of a rivalry going on, but they have to work together to go into this baking contest. What I really, really liked about this game was the puzzles between the narrative segment. Even though they were like very simple, I think it was like a very
Mhm.
cool dynamic that they could expand upon in the future. And I think the characterization could have been like a bit longer, but obviously understandable
Mhm.
because of the length of the contest. But I think the characterization was very well done in the sense that we got like everything that we wanted. We got like a satisfying conclusion. So on the slightly elongated phase, I really enjoyed it. My playthrough a lot.
You know what? I agree with you on a lot of your points. I don't really have any pushback. Just, I guess my thoughts on it are the fact that this was created by one game dev in 4 days. So, where some of these other games had teams where they were handling different, they had different hats to wear and they had different responsibilities. This person created as many assets as they could and then got the other assets and put it together by themselves in 4 days, which is really impressive. So, I'm actually super willing to forgive some of like the not fully gelled parts of the game because I think this is so fun. Also, I think the concept of making a visual novel, like a romantic visual novel, that's basically like the game equivalent of like a Hallmark Christmas movie, is so funny to me and but like in the best way possible. Like it's it's an idea and a story concept that could have been made in like scientifically in like a lab. They boiled it down to its like most effective. Like they're two bakers, but he's from a long lineage of only bread. Bread is all you need. By the way, that guy might be Chilean. I'm just putting it out there. His love and devotion of bread was kind of what making me think that. But
That is quite
yeah.
a quite funny. Segue to the next game that we'll be playing.
Oh
That being
shoot.
said, I will make a slight disclaimer here that obviously we think like all of the games that did successfully entry were fantastic in its own way. If we could, we will talk about all of them. It's just a matter of time. And the fact
Yeah.
that we just chose to talk about the quote unquote most underrated games. But
Yes.
obviously, like our favorite games, it's an entire. But these were either did something really cool or we just think more people should have checked them out. So
Hmm.
disclaimer: all of the games that you guys submitted, fantastic. And we tried our best to leave
Really
comments in
good
every
work.
single one of them.
Yeah.
But going back to Chile for the next contest, to the moon and back, which is a complete vision about this sweet
Mhm.
background story about the sun and moon being in love. But the fun part is this is sort of like a puzzle game. You have to find like the missing parts in the house. But the house, whenever you press the space bar, it will change between daylight and nighttime. And that will allow different things to appear on screen. Some things will be hidden, some doors will open, some doors will close. I think this was very cool. The story
Mhm.
was very sweet. I think there was like a bit of a dissonance, understandably so, because of the development time between the 2D main character sprite and the 3D environment, which got a bit confusing because it was a bit samey at times. But it was very fun to just walk around and explore.
Yeah, I feel like this was a game that really understood what it wanted to be and had a lot of its mechanics cooked and distilled, to the most perfect way. I'm extremely impressed that this game was made in 4 days. I'm like, whoa. The honestly, the only complaint I had about this game, because it was an otherwise perfect game to me, and I felt like it was a complete, standalone demo. My only complaint is that one sound effect. The one sound effect where you flip back and forth between the sun and the moon view, because you're doing it so often, the sound effect becomes a little jarring after a while. So honestly, if you pick something that was just a little softer in the ears or less noticeable over time, that would be perfect. Then it would be the most calming experience just playing this little puzzle game in the mansion.
I want to make like a bit of. I agree with that point entirely.
Yeah.
I don't want to make a little addendum. I like how the music, like the
Hmm.
background music, changed a bit between like the daylight and nighttime. I think
Yes.
that was very cool. Uh,
Yeah. Very thoughtful game.
Yeah, and before we wrap up this little segment, just a few honorable mentions that already got a lot of love for the community, but we still really wanted to shout them out because they either did
Hmm.
something very cool or we just found them like very recommendable experiences. I want to start with Singular Fate in no order in particular, just because it's one that left me thinking about, hey, this was a cool card game in which you control two decks that have to work to with each other and sort of like send energy or mana to the other person to play combo
Hmm.
cards and make your combo voucher go up and then uh, defeat this chaos figure. The art style was fantastic. It was
Hmm. The
very
cards
fun.
too.
You can
Yeah.
sort of even with just the same deck because it only has like a demo. You can play in different styles, either being like more healing or more like trying to just burst the enemy down. I think it was very well done. I really enjoyed it.
I agree with you. I think not only was it, this was another game that felt like a completely realized vision or a completely realized project. Like it knew exactly what it wanted to be before the folks sat down and started actually executing on the 4 days. A lot of the cards had a very complex system with how you traded mana back and forth, just like you were mentioning, and then you could do those combo attacks where you they called singularities, which did a lot of damage to the bad guy. I thought that was really interesting. The art also, I agree with you, completely gorgeous, like really rendered, really beautiful magazine style art. Like just gorgeous, gorgeous game.
Yeah, my one massive complaint about this game, however, that
Hmm.
is that there's not more about this. Like I want more decks, I want
Yeah,
more levels.
agreed. Yeah, agreed. It would be cool to see other couples or perhaps other deck combinations in the game. That would be a lot of fun to see how that works out.
Yeah. Speaking of games that makes me wish that there were more levels, Yin and Yarn, a very cutesy
Yeah.
kitty puzzle solving game in which whichever commands you input with one cat will be mirrored by the other, and you have to reunite about the middle. Very creative, very straight to the. By the way, the theme of this
Yes.
contest, I don't think it's been mentioned so far, but it was opposites attract. Uh, Straight to the point, to the theme.
Hmm.
Very fun. And the presentation just flawless. Like they did a fantastic job for here.
Yeah.
Very simple, but they knew exactly where they wanted to go.
And worked perfectly in browser. There was not a whole lot of bugs to come across. Like this definitely was a very well executed game, on top of being very well designed.
Yeah. Another game that was very interesting, speaking of 2D dimensions, was Zahamodi, which is one of my favorite entries just because of the creative of having to solve puzzles while one of your characters is working on a sort of side scroller dimension and the other one
Yeah,
is working from a top down. So you move them in different parts. I think this will also be fantastic to play at co-op, with one person in each character.
you can.
And I think like this just did everything right. Like the visuals were cool, the soundtrack was cool, the gameplay was very fun. Really enjoyed
Yeah.
this experience.
I love Zahamodi. Not only was everything designed in the cutest possible way, all of the art was so, so beautiful and really adorable, but it's also about two ladies trying to go on a date. And if you don't get yourself ready for the date in time with like all of your accessories, and you try to meet up with your girlfriend on the other side of the map too soon, they'll get embarrassed and they'll start getting really anxious, and the sprite will change. So you have to make sure that you go and you get ready before you meet them on the little picnic blanket. So cute. I love every detail in that game.
The animations gave such a lot of
Yeah.
character to these little ladies.
Yes. Mhm. Love them, love them.
Up next, Heavenly Hellish, a game about two interior designers that end up in each other room, and they have to room decor the other one to make it more palatable, at least in their tastes,
Mhm.
which do not necessarily fit. They're a bit of opposites uh, with this angel and demon theme. But it ends up being
Yes.
Sudoku, which totally caught me off guard. I really, really enjoyed it. I am a Sudoku enjoyer, admittedly. So I really was like, okay, this is Sudoku, but cooler with a story and like different dimensions,
Mhm,
different
mhm.
aesthetics. What do you think about this game?
Okay, so I have some complex feelings about this game because I believe that this game is almost perfect. I think it was extremely well designed. It's very clean visually, aesthetically pleasing. All of the character designs are just on point. Like this could be like a playable manga. I thought it was really cute. My one complaint actually is that, and this is really just a personal complaint, I'm not a Sudoku gal. So when I hear interior design and I hear girly game, and when I think of like two very adorably designed characters putting furniture in each other's rooms, I'm thinking of something like Sims. There was a game that did something similar in the game jam, which was Punk Bunny. Punk Bunny actually had you select and then place and do the interior decoration, which I thought was would have worked better for something like Heavenly and Hellish, but instead it had you do Sudoku, which does actually technically make sense because you have to. You're like, well, what would look good here on the shelf next to this? So it does logically make sense. But when I found out that that was the main mechanic of the game, I was like, oh,
I mean, like, what is Sudoku if not room decor for mathematicians, you know?
wouldn't that just be Tetris though? Or
No,
is that
that's
mathematics for
for
hoarders?
no, yeah, yeah, potentially yes.
Mm.
For people that want to fit as much in the right track as they can.
Oh boy,
And our
yeah.
last honorable mention, unless I'm missing one, is what's the thesis? Yeah, very
Yes.
interesting narrative game in which you're trying to control a kind of like a dance, a party of some sorts, a gathering. Sorry, I don't remember at the moment, even though I played it
It's a
twice.
prom.
Oh, it was the entire prom. Okay,
It's
I
a
thought it was
prom,
like the
yeah.
premise to the prom. My bad. You're controlling this prom, but you're not actually there. So you're just with your phone, having to like text everyone, be like, hey, what's this person doing? Like, hey, do this. Because you had the brilliant idea,
Yes.
because you could not attend, to send your twin sister as a double, and you're sort of trying to control her to get like the person that you want to declare to you, to declare to her. So you start going out with him, which is sounds a lot more complicated than it really is, but you're just like trying to like bring order into this chaotic situation just by messaging everyone desperately. Also, while Rebecca is trying to screw all your plans over.
Screw you, Rebecca. I just feel like the best way to describe what's a thesis is imagine that you're playing the girliest real-time strategy game, but it's a social real-time strategy game done through a novel element. Um, and then everything visually, your UI is a phone, and you're doing everything through text messages. All of the buttons on your phone work. You can it does text predictions, so you can start typing things in and then use those responses. This game was so smart. It was so cleverly put together and really funnily written. I mean, like, who doesn't love a hot girl with IBS? I love it. This is a great game. Great job, guys.
I think it was very fun, especially the part of the main gameplay is just by interacting with people through like
Yeah.
commands. It kind of like has this old like
Mhm.
DOS like select the right word at the right moment kind of vibe,
Yes.
but with a very novel
Yes.
interface. I love that you could like take notes with your phone, so you could like keep track of stuff going on.
Mhm.
The user interface could use a bit more polish, but that's just a very minor nitpick at this point because it was like a very
Mhm.
fun experience.
Yeah, it was a really, really fun time. Honestly, this is a game that I kept marveling at because I was like, wow, this particular game and this concept is something that could have turned out extremely boring. You know, if you had just explained it to somebody and then executed very, very literally on the idea, but they did this in such a clever, really compelling way. And just, yeah, huge kudos to them. Good job, guys.
Yeah, so this will be our end of honorable mentions for now. There were a lot of more fantastic games. I'm sure I
Yes.
will fill the description with even more games.
Go
Uh,
play them.
yeah, play this out. And like one last mandatory shout out to our game in case you want to throw it out. How would you describe it to our listeners?
Mm. So Pinhole is a narrative-based visual novel, but it's done through the UI of almost like an early internet simulator. So all of the interactables are basically either chat windows and like early AOL or like MSN Messenger or like early blog posts from a photo blog. And it's told between the two perspectives of two teenage girls who are very much the opposites of one another in like the early 2000s. So if you really love emotive narrative storytelling and you like visual novels and the early 2000s, definitely check it out.
Yeah, go check all of these fantastic games out. And
Hmm.
at the moment that we're recording this, we still have no idea how the votings will end. So we do not know if some of these games will get highly praised, lowly praised. We have no idea. But after the voting will end in like an hour from here. So we'll be sure to check that out. And one last shout out to Macritza for just putting
Thank
all this
you.
jam together. This was a fantastic experience.
It's a
So
great
yeah,
time.
thank you everyone for listening.
Bye.